if they expect me to walk away from Luton with nothing, I'll make very sure there's nothing to walk away from.
Hello and welcome to the Oak Road Hatter podcast. I'm Billy Mully, today joined by Stephen Day and Lewis Jones ahead of game week number 36 of this Premier League campaign. It is Luton Town versus Everton, a game that probably would have had a bit more spice to it hadn't Everton just confirmed their survival. Still, for Luton Town, it is massive. It's coming to the part of the season where Luton always seem to be involved in, whether it be a promotion, relegation, we always seem to be somewhere. Stephen, how are you?
Not too bad, mate. How are you?
Not too bad. I don't really get that question thrown back at me, so you stumbled me there, but no, I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. Lewis, how are you?
All good, thanks, mate. I won't throw it back at you.
Yes, we've spoken about this game a lot. It's been moved from the Saturday to the Friday night. Kenilworth Road under the lights. It always seems to be a special occasion. As I mentioned as well, it had the potential to be massive for both clubs, but Everton going on a little bit of a run to confirm their survival. Didn't look like it for a while. It looked like they were really in for the fight to the very end, but was it 3 home wins in a row? I think eventually secured their safety. Do you think, Stephen, there's this sort of dynamic change because Everton are now safe? Do you think that changes the dynamic of the game? Does it change how we look at this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I was last on, I said that they've got no spine, they've got no leaders and all that, and that just completely changed. I'm glad I didn't get clipped for that because that would have been a bit annoying, but that's football with you. Yeah, I think dynamic has definitely changed. I think Sky are probably quite upset that Everton have now confirmed their survival because they were expecting something magical on Friday night. I think hopefully it's going to play into our hands, but at the same time, we know that teams that are playing for nothing are dangerous. Wolves were dangerous Saturday. Yeah, I think I'm hoping it will play into our hands, but we'll have to see.
And Lou, hopefully for our sake, Everton are still celebrating. Sean Dyche is leading the celebrations, and it's just like a manic week for them preparing for this game. But it has been a mad season for them. Of course, point deductions. I think the Premier League tried to take a total of 17 when breaking it down. They had eventually 8 points taken away. It would have left them with 44 points. And, how have they accumulated that figure? I think they should be done for point smuggling. I just don't remember them picking. I think I said that before, but I don't remember them picking up that many points. I really thought we were on par. But fair play to them. They've confirmed safety. They're on 36 points with deductions kicked in. They're 15th, and they can look ahead to next season. But when you consider the quality that they've shown during a large spell of this campaign, you do consider them as sort of being on par with us.
I thought they were ahead of us at the start of the campaign. I still do now. I think they've got players that, if they're fitting on their day, can cause trouble to top sides. You look at the game against Liverpool. They had Onana, who's been linked to multiple clubs, on the bench. Calvert-Lewin was ill and just played like he was going back 3 years. So they're a team that can hurt anyone on their day. And with the backline they've got of Tarkowski and Branthwaite, they're always going to be solid. And that's the Sean Dyche effect in action as well. And with the 2 wins against them this season, they're really going to want to beat us. And the Everton fans love to think we're a load of Tories as well. So I'm sure they'll be well up for it, even though we are not. But it's a difficult game, and with nothing to play for, I think that actually makes Everton more dangerous than they were before that.
Yeah, it's strange how different people view this season, because for me, the fact that Everton have picked up the same number of points as Brighton, I just can't get my head around it. It just seemed at the start of the season they were getting beaten week in, week out, and then they had that winless run that stretched maybe 2-3 months. But of course, fair play to them, because they've dragged themselves out. They've got a very good defensive record. They've got a manager that time and time again proves himself, getting his team out of difficult situations. And they're probably on the balance of things. Well, definitely, because they've accumulated the points, but do deserve to stay up. I mentioned that defensive record, Stephen. They've got the 4th best defensive record in the Premier League, which, when you consider the amount of money spent on defenders these days, that is no mean feat. And I think it's 48 goals conceded this season. Only the top 3 have conceded fewer. That is very, very impressive. And a lot of that has to go down to that sort of trio of Jordan Pickford, Branthwaite and James Tarkowski.
Yeah, exactly. I'm looking at it here, 48, and that is around pretty much what you said. Only the top 3 have conceded less. And if you think that if they hadn't have had that game against Chelsea, that loss against Chelsea, then they would be even better off than that. I think they'd be in the top 2, or no, it's still top, the top 3 that are ahead of them. But yeah, so they're not going to be wanting to, or no team would be, but they're not going to be wanting to let any goals in Friday night. And I think, as you said, Pickford, Branthwaite, and Tarkowski, I'm worried about how we're going to be able to go up against them. Now that Eli's back somewhat, I've got a little bit more confidence, but I think we could easily be getting bullied by them and up going forward, and it worries me a lot, to be honest with you. But yeah, I don't know what I think.
But you know what? I wish they had the same kind of injury situation that Sunderland had when they came to Kenilworth Road, when it was, I guess, a very similar remit where we had to go to Kenilworth Road and win. A lot of pressure being applied, and Sunderland didn't have any fit centre-backs. That would make life a lot easier coming into this game. But unfortunately, life doesn't work like that. One thing that we can cling on to with a bit of hope is that Everton haven't won away in the league in 2024, which is quite weird considering they're 11th in the away standings. It's a mad league. I think we've been saying that all season. But Lewis, not too much confidence away from home at the moment. Luton are a team that can make Kenilworth Road such a fortress, as we've seen so many times. Is that what you're clinging on to as well?
Yeah, we all know whether it's a Tuesday, Wednesday, or a Friday night in this case, there's always a special atmosphere when the lights are on. Albeit, I think the atmosphere has recently been quite lacking on the home games, so I think that's a good thing to get back under the lights. Everyone will be up for it on a Friday night after work and after a long week, probably sinking a few beers as well, so that will help. And yeah, the atmosphere can cause issues. Numerous players down the years have said it, and with, like Stephen said, Eli being back, it gives Carlton a bit of help up there. So he's not the only one taking the balls down out the air. He's not the only one to hit. Obviously, it's to be seen how fit he actually is, but it would be a big, big coup for us to get Eli in that starting 11. And having centre halves to defend Calvert-Lewin as well is great, because I would not fancy Hashioka or Kabore up against him, albeit the latter is injured.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation. I've been trying to work out during the start of the week how this game might play out. Are we going to go a little bit longer? If Eli's back, are we going to really try and take it to them during the early stages, try and get the crowd on side from sort of the onset? Are we going to try and grow into the game? Are we going to use Lokonga and Barkley a lot more than we have done the last couple of games? It's a really interesting dynamic. Everton as well, we say they got nothing to play for. Does that mean they can pull off the handbrake a little bit and not be so cautious going into the game? It is quite a difficult one to assess, and a really difficult one for Rob Edwards to try and work out his game plan. But yeah, as we say, Kenilworth Road has to be rocking come Friday night, and I'm sure it will be. But at the same time, if Everton start quick, it could throw a little bit of anxiety into the air. Moving on to Luton, and we've mentioned the last two results and performances haven't really been up to scratch. We've been talking about this kind of reaction that we want to see. Lokonga's now getting fitter. Adebayo could be in the starting 11. Stephen, are all the things coming together?
I hope so. I hope all the things are coming together, but then I do worry that with Eli being back, it might end up being a similar sort of situation to Huddersfield in the playoffs, where we'd thrown him onto the pitch with hope, but he wasn't fit enough to even chase a ball down. I hope that we're going to come back from the last two or three performances and really give it a go on Friday night. And I think it doesn't really feel like everything's sort of coming together. It feels like we've got to put it back together. It doesn't feel like everything's dropping into place for us to have a good go in the last three games. It's something that we've got to do ourselves. And I hope we've got that sort of mentality as well, that we're not just going to rock up and the atmosphere is going to be great and we're going to be well up for it. All the players are going to be well up for it just from the start for nothing really. There's got to be like actual mentality like put in place that this means a lot, and it's got to be, everyone's got to be in the right frame of mind for it. So yeah, I'm hoping that they've done obviously they're going to be doing their preparations, but there's going to be, I just want to see the players come out and show that they want it in the first 10 minutes, and then that can get everyone going, everyone in the stadium be going for it. And yeah, I hope everything is falling into place after we get a win Friday.
And Lewis, there's this sort of notion that we want to replicate what we did against Sunderland, what we did against Watford, and the two, I guess, similarity. Well, the main similarity you can draw from both performances was it was a fast start. We've mentioned it as well. Is it imperative that we do start fast? Is there going to be anxiety in the air if we don't, win the first duel, or if we're under the cosh for the first 5-10 minutes? Is it down to us, or is it down to the players to try and generate this atmosphere that could carry us through?
I think it's a bit of both. I think the fans will be up for it and the players will be up for it. It's just the players are going to need to show on the pitch that they're up for it, and the fans are going to need to do in the stands. They need to show they're up for it. So it's coming together, and it's difficult for the players. A lot of these players have played nearly every game, looking like Mengi, Doughty, Barkley, because of the injuries around the team. They played so many minutes. They're probably just knackered. So it's hard for them. So I think we've got to be more up for it than they are, because we've got to spur them on. We've got to give them the legs. With the players coming back, that helps, obviously. But Everton, they're no slouches. And I think you're right in saying we can't just come there expecting it'll be atmosphere. It won't be electric if we're playing awfully, because you respond to what you're seeing. Edwards has come across it loads of times and said, we need the fans, but we need to show ourselves on the pitch that we're here to play as well. And I think he had that in mind when he took off Barkley, because he looked out on his legs against Wolves and he was like, Everton's a big game here. I think I've got to give him a little bit more of a rest than he would do normally. And he is a player that can break them down, especially with Lokonga. And it's fitting these players that are a bit fitter and a bit more rested because of their injuries, in with these players who have played probably about 40 games this season, including cups, trying to lift themselves as well. So it's a bit of both.
And Lewis, back to Adebayo, a player that came on against Wolves and looked, he looked back to his very best. He was brilliant when he came on, and I don't know if I'm getting carried away with that or if it's just recency bias. But do you put him back in the starting 11? And if so, how do you sort of manage that front three? Do you want to have Morris out on the left? Do you put them as a two? How would you go about it?
That's a difficult question, Bill, and that's why I'm not a manager. I look at us when we were at our best. It was Morris on the left, Adebayo down the middle, and Ogbene on the right. So if we can get a similar kind of thing, even if it's, I know Fred, it's a big ask him to do the same role as Ogbene up in that front three, but them three could cause danger. They're quick, they're strong, they're powerful. But the other side of it is what he did with Ogbene before. Do you bring him on 60 minutes to make an impact in that second half when Tarkowski, Branthwaite might be a bit more tired? So it's a difficult one, but for me, I think a fast start is imperative. So I would be starting him if he's fit enough.
Yeah, we've got this kind of feeling that Ogbene could be back given the time frames, given how Rob Edwards has put things to us in previous press conferences. Ogbene would be a massive boost to the squad, Stephen, wouldn't he?
100%. I think we're missing that sort of second option going forward. And I think before he did get injured, you could sort of see that he was just off the pace a little bit. He was like just not taking people on as much as what he was. And I think if we're going to bring him back, we're going to need him back fully fit to be able to run at defences. I think it goes back to if if they're not 100% fit, I don't think we should be bringing them back, to be honest. The last home game, obviously there was the celebrations before the match of seeing the lineup, and there's a load of players back like Lokonga and all that, and then we looked almost not with it. The players just didn't look with it, and so if there's a chance he can come back, then I prefer him off the bench really to have something going forward later on. But if he's not fully fit, then I don't think we should be bringing people on or putting people into the starting 11 without there being enough fitness for them to do so.
It's a massive sort of risk versus reward at this point of the season, because you probably would think that the likes of Ogbene, Lokonga, who's recently come back, Adebayo, if there is a significant part of the season still left to play, I don't know if we would have seen them so soon. So it is a massive kind of risk. Well, Ogbene will be eager to get back as quick as possible. It's going to be, heavy conversations with the medical team and trying to ensure that he's not going to do further damage, which, I'm sure it's a balance that's really, really difficult to strike. Finally, we're going to head into a short break, but when we're back, we're going to look at the wider Premier League fixtures that concern the town, and we're also going to give you our score predictions. We are back for part 2 of today's episode, and we've been talking all Luton versus Everton so far. That is a Friday night. And after we take all 3 points, we'll be waiting patiently for the outcome of Saturday's results. 2 massive games, as we were just speaking about off air. It's, of course, Sheffield United versus Nottingham Forest. And I know a lot of people will look at that and think Sheffield United are down, what they got to play for. Well, I'm pretty sure in saying that they despise Forest, maybe even more than some of the Luton fans. So I'm sure that's going to be a spicy clash. And it will. I think Sheffield United fans at least will be geared up for that one. Then it's also Burnley versus Newcastle. Burnley have shown good form to drag themselves back into kind of contention of surviving. They looked gone a few weeks ago, but they've picked up a couple of good results and performed pretty well, I think. So they are still right in the mix. They've got Newcastle, who beat Sheffield United 5-1 and looked really good last week. It's going to be a tough ask for them, but ultimately they are on the right track at the moment. But we'll start with Sheffield United, Nottingham Forest, Stephen. It's weird to say, but we're all Blades for the day.
Yeah. We just need them to win. Just that's all we need. We just need them to turn up for once this season. Well, say for once. Turned up against us, didn't they? Just needing to turn up and get a result against Forest, and I reckon they could. We've been speaking about how dangerous teams are that haven't got anything left to play for. There might be a few of those players in Sheffield United team that are playing for a chance to move to another Premier League team in the summer. So they've got things to play for there. I'm just hoping, we get like a shock result of 5-0 United.
That would be beautiful. As you say, yeah, there's players playing for contracts out there, so it's never all as on the beach as the phrase often reminds us. But yeah, you look at that and Forest, when considering how they intend to stay up, they will be viewing that as 3 points, considering they've got Chelsea and then Burnley to play, who are, as we've just mentioned, sort of picked up a little bit of form last couple of weeks. Lewis, that game, Sheffield United versus Nottingham Forest, it's a massive game week, considering it's our game against somebody that we intend to take 3 points off. They also intend to take 3 points off them. I'm not saying it could be done. The sort of relegation picture will be done, because it probably will go all the way, but it could sway massively based on just this game week.
Definitely. We need a Chris Wilder Sheffield United performance of a few years ago, or a few months ago when you consider the performance against us. But how likely that is, I think we both and all know, very unlikely. So we just need to do our business. If we win our games, there's a very high chance we stay up. We can't rely on other teams. Brings back to Nathan Jones, where he says we've got to do what we need to do, because we can't rely on other teams, because you never know what's going to happen. And when you look at it, Sheffield United, you can't put too much faith in them. I think they were, we were odds-on favourites to beat them at our place. So I think that's saying something about how lowly they're rated. And Forest, they're a good side. I thought they were actually unlucky to lose against City. I think they had a lot of chances. And obviously there's a few jokes come out about Chris Wood supporting City, which was actually related to Bristol City, I believe. But hopefully do us a favour, but that's not looking too likely. We get a win though, it's all changed.
It's very strange, because at the start of the season, it's all about momentum. It's all about not rushing to judgments after one performance or performances of other teams. But yeah, as you say, Forest were very good against City. I think I haven't seen too many teams put as much pressure onto City as Forest did. But yeah, I think that they spurned a few chances that you'd like to think other teams would score, and that's the bit that I'm hoping continues into this one. When you're in a battle, you just need those chances to go in, and it didn't seem that it was going that way for them. From one good team, sort of good performance, to another, Burnley were decent against Manchester United. They've now got Newcastle, Stephen. I guess kind of the same. We're now praying that Newcastle can do us a massive favour after clawing 2 goals back against us on that day at St James's Park.
Yeah. I hope, as we all do, hope that they can turn up and do a job on Burnley. But at the same time, Burnley have got momentum, and I'm starting to get a little bit worried there's a chance that we could finish below them if we don't do what we need to do. Which would make it a lot more sour getting relegated below Burnley. Even if we both go down, finishing below them would be not great at all. Yeah, I part of me is thinking that Newcastle probably a harder game for them to win than Man United. Like a harder game to go to, and I think they've got a chance to do it. But at the same time, I think Newcastle hopefully will just turn up and do what we all want them to do.
Yeah, I hate having to rely on other teams to do our business, but of course, it's still in Luton's hand, I guess, in a sense, because I don't envision Forest picking up all 9 points. Of course, it's doable, but I don't envision them doing that. So if we are to win all 3 of our games, you'd like to think we've got a good chance of surviving. But yeah, it's a lot of ifs, buts, and maybes at this time of the campaign. It's also quite kind of weird because I think for large parts of this season, we felt that we've deserved to stay up. We've been, we've impressed the wider Premier League. We've got lots of good comments from, well, we didn't start to, but pundits. They of course, we got a lot of criticism at the start of the campaign, but we won a lot of people over. I think the last 2 performances have been very unlike us, but we've spoken so much about how this club responds, and if it's not the immediate response like Wolves, then I do think we've got a very good chance to respond very positively here in that manner, trying to keep things upbeat. Let's go on to some score predictions. And Mr. Stephen Day, I'll start with you.
2-1 us. Yeah,
classic.
Nothing else to it. I just think 2-1 us.
We don't care how it comes. It could be 2 own goals. It could be 2 goals in the 90th minute. But just, 2-1 us would be absolutely fantastic. Lewis, what about yourself?
I'm going to do a Billy and go for less optimism. I'm going to go for an Everton 2-1 win. I think Sean Dyche should be trying to do his old club, Burnley, a favour as well. And he's going to really want to beat us after the last 2 performances against them, because they weren't at it, especially in the Premier League game. So as much as I'd like us to batter them 4-1 and do a Brighton, I think it's looking unlikely, which is sad.
Yeah, but hopefully that proves right, and then we'll be begging you for less optimistic predictions for the final 2 games. I'm going to also go for 2-1, and I'm going to be in line with Stephen. I'm going to go 2-1 Luton. No, I'm not. I'm going to go 3-2 Luton, because it is a scoreline that when we needed a win in the past, it's been an absolute dream of a scoreline. We can all think to many 3-2 victories at Kenilworth Road, some under the lights as well, which makes it even more fitting. It is, of course, a massive game, but I think the town will do it. I think the mentality is there. I think we've got the squad to do it. I think if things come together like I think they should do, I'm anticipating a good night at Kenilworth Road. That is everything for today. A big thank you to the pair of you for joining. A big thank you to everybody watching and listening wherever you are. And hopefully, and I really do hope so, that the next episode we bring you, we're outside the relegation places after 3 points, after Sheffield United have stuffed Nottingham Forest 3-0 and everything goes right. It would be quite a way to start the new week, that is for sure. But until then, it is goodbye from us.